Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the University of Adelaide graduation ceremony. This afternoon's ceremony is for graduates from the Faculty of Health and Medical Sciences. The ceremony will commence very shortly. The university has a contract with a photographer to provide photography services during the ceremony. If you wish to take photos, I would ask that you do so discreetly from your seat, and please do not use flash. To maintain the ceremony's sense of occasion, please switch off all your mobile phones. In case of an emergency, please follow the direction of staff members. The emergency assembly point is in the Goodman Crescent lawns to the western side of Bonython Hall, and the evacuation plan can be found on page 9 of the program. For safety reasons, guests are not to enter the galleries upstairs, and please do not sit on the steps in the balcony area. Thank you and enjoy the ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, the academic procession is about to enter the hall. We will be singing the national anthem. The words are on page 11 of the program. Please now stand for the academic procession and remain standing for the national anthem.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Mr. Kenneth Williams, a member of the University of Adelaide Council, declare open this congregation convened for the purpose of presenting degrees. Distinguished guests, parents, relatives, friends, and especially the graduates, welcome to the University of Adelaide's graduation ceremony. We acknowledge the Kaurna people, past and present, the original custodians of the land upon which we meet and where the Adelaide University campuses are built. We acknowledge the Kaurna people's ongoing spiritual connection with this land and their leaders past, present and emerging. Now graduates, your graduation is an event in which you and your family and friends can justifiably take some pride. It is also a source of great pride to the university and satisfaction for the staff. Graduation day is an opportunity for you to reflect both on the past and on the future. This day may very well signal a significant change in direction for your life. But whatever directions your life may take from here, The knowledge that you have acquired and the skills that you have learned and developed through your time here should stand you in good stead, not only in your working and professional life, but we hope in all aspects of your future. I look forward to presenting your degrees shortly, but firstly, I wish to introduce today's orator. And at the beginning, I should say what a great pleasure it is to see a full house here today. We're very fortunate to be in the position where we can all meet in person. And it's no small part to the work of a lot of people, including our guest orator here today, Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick. Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick is the Deputy Chief Medical Officer and Deputy Chief Public Health Officer for SA Health. Dr. Kirkpatrick is a respected Adelaide-based GP with a background in preventive and primary care, public health and cancer screening. She holds numerous committee roles with the aim of promoting the importance of community-based healthcare and strengthening the role of general practice in South Australia. Prior to working for SA Health, she spent a number of years supporting complex patients within the community with a focus on skin cancer screening. Over the past 12 months, Dr. Kirkpatrick has worked with various government departments and sectors to create appropriate COVID-19 response and support the community during the pandemic. Outside of work, she juggles the pressures of raising 2 children and as a result has developed an interest in mindful meditation. We're privileged to hear her speak today. Please welcome Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today, and particularly very exciting, of course, that we're all here together, gathered in person, as Mr. Williams mentioned. Very, very exciting. So first of all, I'd like to acknowledge our distinguished guests, Mr. Kenneth Williams, Professor Jenny Shaw, academic distinguished guests, members of staff, family, friends, and of course our graduates here today. Very, very exciting indeed. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Kaurna people in which we're meeting here today, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And thank you to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people for caring for the land in which we're here today. And it is an absolute pleasure to be back here in this location as well. And of course, beautiful. I just could not get over the sound of listening to the national anthem here, and the fact that we're all back in here together listening to live music. It's just quite a phenomenal feeling, really. I will start first of all by congratulating all of the graduates here. I was not a graduate of the University of Adelaide, but have had an association here for 5 years as a clinical lecturer in the School of Medicine, working in general practice. And it's quite an unusual feeling. I've been through now 5 graduation ceremonies myself. I'm an academic, very keen academic individual who loves expanding on various areas of my knowledge in my career. I think it's one of those areas that really you cannot go wrong in formulating yourself with a number of degrees, particularly as you embark across your career in this very unknown land. And certainly a strange world that we live in now. 12 months I've been working at SA Health as part of the COVID-19 response. And it certainly is a very strange world indeed. Although we have physical distancing on one side, you can see here at the hall, then you look at this side, we're all sort of more packed together, but it evens out and we hit our 75% capacity limits that we currently sit at here in South Australia. Of course, the messaging now is all around vaccination, and we would hope people would roll up their sleeve and get vaccinated, but now I'm straying off topic of why we're all here today. So I'll come back to where I was and congratulating all of the graduates here today and saying well done for making it through such a difficult 12 months that we particularly had. Not only have you had your studies to deal with, but you've had to deal with the fact that so much of your education has been transferred online. You've lost out on your friendship groups and your team activities that you would usually do, and you've had to study on your own for many of you, which no doubt has been quite difficult. And as I stand here today, I think, gosh, what a strange world we're all embarking on. You have chosen professions that make real impacts on people's lives and on the world around you, and comes with that great responsibility. I recall sitting in graduation ceremonies myself pondering where my next steps would be or where my next career moves would go. And after I completed my second Masters in Skin Cancer as a Master of Medicine, I thought, gosh, what am I going to do next? And then I embarked on my second chosen area of my PhD, which sadly I still haven't finished. COVID came along and I've sidetracked again in my career pathway. But learning through such amazing universities as the University of Adelaide will set you up for those foundations that you need to be able to move ahead in your career and have a wide open opportunity for where you see yourselves heading. Now, you may be feeling a little apprehensive, as many of you probably are, and you're probably already embarked on your career pathways given the fact that we graduate quite a bit after we finish our studies, and that always did surprise me, but it certainly provides you opportunity to already reflect on where you're heading. And if you're entering this world with great uncertainty, know that there's plenty of challenges ahead. Very much we used to be stuck in tunnelled vision in where we were heading. And certainly for myself, when I finished medical training, I had sort of a pathway of where I saw myself heading, but very quickly I changed track. And when I undertook a Master of Public Health 10 years ago, I would never have thought that I would then end up working in a pandemic response for SA Health. And it's interesting how opportunities come along when you least expect them. I'd sort of been sitting quite comfortably in my general practice career, sitting on a few committees and boards and feeling like I was making a difference in preventative healthcare. And then along came change. Along came COVID-19, and no doubt we'll call it COVID-21, COVID-23, COVID-25, which is a very scary fact. But unfortunately, COVID-19 did hit us, and we all had to change track in where we were heading, and particularly for me, where my career was heading. And so I was delighted to reflect back on my Master of Public Health, which focused on Indigenous ear infections, not pandemic infectious diseases, and come into the role at SA Health supporting the team as the Deputy Chief Public Health Officer, and now sitting as the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, looking at how we can improve primary care and hospital relationships. And I remained initially very tunnelled in my approach, so I do highlight how much of an opportunity there is for you now, finishing your degrees, to be able to look ahead across the horizon and think about where your career may take you. And please don't have that tunnel vision approach. Don't have blinkers on and don't feel that you have to head down a particular pathway. I think if anything, this pandemic has taught us that you can go laterally. You can think about things from a different perspective. I had no idea I'd end up having to undertake so many media commitments this year, for instance, and I had no idea that we'd end up doing vaccination media every day for the past 2 weeks. But certainly career progressions take you in a different place. And I would welcome you to think about opportunities that come your way. You're very fortunate that you have been at such a fantastic university that has laid those foundations down for you so that you then can think about how you'll progress in your chosen career. And if that doesn't work out for you, fear not, because there's numerous careers we know that are opening up, all different opportunities as the tech world emerges, as we see opportunity for change, particularly in healthcare. And it's been very exciting to see how we've moved so rapidly in South Australia, particularly now moving towards a telehealth model of care in our primary care response, but also in how we've embraced new care and new technologies, particularly in the mental health space, which we know is so important as we continue to tackle this pandemic together. So opportunities will come your way, and I would strongly encourage you to take them up. Leaping in it can be incredibly scary, and reflecting on my own journey, I felt very frightened when I first leaped into a somewhat public role. And now I feel, after 12 months of working at SA Health, I feel a lot more confident in where I am and where I'm heading, and I would strongly encourage you to feel the same way. Although it may be frightening and scaring as you think about your next steps in your career progression, this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity to lean in, to make mistakes, and know that even if you fall, the ground is still there. You can get up, dust yourself off, and move on to the next opportunity. And I think that's a really, really important lesson to take on board, is that there are so many opportunities in life. Opportunities for new studies, opportunities to come back to university, which is even more exciting in my opinion, because I just love studying, but even opportunities to explore and re-educate yourselves in other areas that you may wish to take on board. So when I was contemplating what I would say today, and often I have quite sporadic speeches that I put together and take inspiration from looking in the room, and I certainly have by looking at the spaced out social physical distancing here on my left, and then looking here at my right, much more packed in together, QR codes coming in, I think, gosh, we're certainly embarking on new journeys together. So my pieces of advice, 4 pieces of advice that I'll bring today. The first is retain an open mind. As I stand up here today, I think this is such a strange, bizarre world that we've moved forward with. This is the time to embrace new opportunities and think laterally, and don't be tunnelled in your approach. Relatively simple and straightforward careers are a thing of the past, and it's time to think around how you can make the world a better place and grow yourselves around where the world is heading. Number 2, actively engage with those around you. We're so focused now in an isolated way with our technology, with Zoom, with Teams meeting, that we often forget to interact with people and have that more personal approach. So it's time to rethink how can you get back in touch with people and think about ways to use social media more wisely. Perhaps that may be what you'll be doing in your chosen area of field or your new career pathways that you move ahead, embracing social media to leverage into new opportunities. Number 3, be a good listener. I think that's one of the very important skills to learn. Often we're quite opinionated in where we're heading, or we have quite strong viewpoints that we see ourselves in, but this is the time to listen to others. To be a good listener, it's a skill that you have to often develop, but look around yourselves at your fellow students, at your physical distancing space between you, and think of how you can listen to others and make change and difference in the world. And finally, number 4, listen to your own values. It's your values which have got you here today, which have allowed you to graduate, which have allowed you to be here. It's your values and desire for education which are so important to allow you to grow as an individual and to help grow your community. So this is the time to let your values shine as they help navigate your career. I just wanted to say again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. It is such a pleasure and delight to see new graduates come forward, and I know as I've sat in your position and I've contemplated where my career could go, I could never imagine that I'd be stuck in the middle of a pandemic and doing what I do now. So this is the time. Reflect, think, consider where you may head forward, but in a year's time, don't look back and think, was that a mistake, was that wrong? Think back on the last 12 months as growth opportunities for you in developing yourselves and for your community. So thank you.
On behalf of the graduates and their families attending today's ceremony, I would like to thank Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick for her stimulating and inspiring address. We are honoured that you have taken the time to join us on this special day to share with us your thoughts and experiences. Your words of encouragement and advice are greatly appreciated. They remind us that education places upon each of us an enduring responsibility to make the best possible use of our talents and to contribute to the betterment of society in whatever way we can. Please join me in once again thanking Dr. Emily Kirkpatrick.
I will now receive the candidates for degrees. I call on the Interim Deputy Vice-Chancellor and Vice President Academic.
Mr. Kenneth Williams, I, Professor Jenny Shaw, Interim Deputy Vice-Chancellor and Vice President Academic of the University of Adelaide, certify to you and to the whole university that the graduates will be presented to you have all fulfilled the conditions prescribed for admission to the award for which they are so presented.
I, Mr. Kenneth Williams, Member of the University of Adelaide Council, by virtue of the power committed to me by the University, confirm that each graduate is admitted to the rank and privileges of a holder of the award in the University of Adelaide for which they are so presented. I call on the Chair Programs Board of the School of Psychology, Associate Professor Peter Strellan, to present the graduates.
Mr. Kenneth Williams, I, Chair, Programs Board of the School of Psychology, Associate Professor Peter Strellan, present to you graduates from the School of Psychology. To the degree of Bachelor of Psychological Science, Rabia Ahmadi. Elizabeth Sarah Rose Allen. Jessica Marianne Archer. Nusrath Assad. Taylor Jane Barton. Jesse William Beckinsale. Aaron David Biggerlin. Annabelle Rosalind Bramley. Jasmine Skye Brunton. Angela Maurice Reyes Calendis. Joel Benjamin Callis. Sarah Rose Candeloro. Victoria May Corkwell. Arpita Chinana. Grace Rosanna Chumpa. Loren Cobart. Sue Connerty. Megan Louise Cook. Anne-Marie Rose Cramond. Oscar Trevor Devison. Rihanna Marie Dewey. Chelsea Jane Dix. Lucia Rosalie Donnarumma. Rebecca Louise Etienne. Stephanie Rose Foy. Rachel Adele Frattini. Eleanor Jeannie Gardner. Belinda Ann Garrett. Ellen Rose Getz. Susan Rose Giles. Elizabeth Gluftus. Michaela Goodman. Estelle Bridie Green. Cheyenne Rose Grontos. Also receiving the degree of Bachelor of Criminology, Stephanie Ellie Grigosevich. Also receiving the degree of Criminology, Nicole Elizabeth Hanson. Bronwyn Harris. Isabel Therese Harris. Sabira Hassanoff. Toby John Edward Halliwell. Isaac Reginald Hill. Carolyn Hocking. Holly Howard. Jessica Stephanie Hutchins. Ramdas Chandrasekhar Iyer. Emma Janke. Also receiving the degree of Criminology, Andrew Raymond Jarrett. Rachel Claire Johnson. Alexia Kalivas. Sarah Keeney. Annalise Kingston. Ainsley Ebony Kruger. Isaac Lane. Vabuvi Lath. Anastasia Levin-Terrace. Megan Bell Linky. Stella Lykos. Ashley Mahoney. Yunhan Mao. Christopher Jack Marinos. Talia Olivia Mazzotti. Annabelle May McCarthy. Jade Courtney McKim. Jacqueline Tanya Miller. Brianna Eve Monaghan. Samuel Joseph Morris. Kiara Jane Moss. Emily Brooke Mullins. Adriana Consuelo Munaiko Winman. Murray Eden Nankivell. Isaac William Nankivell Richards. Ahmad Nasser. Caitlin Alice O'Loughlin. Tanae Katerina Ormsby. Mitchell James Osborne. Alexandra Jade Kolb Penfold. Emmeline Grace Percy. Georgia Lane Pratt. Mariah Radamissis. Nicole Samantha Ramuyosa. Michael John Robinson. Bethany Carol Ann Roger. Dana Loretta Romeo. Lily Therese Ross. Emma Jean Rundle. Amy Elizabeth Seppelt. Serena Aisha Miriam Shahin. Catherine Louisa Ann Silberison. Srivasavi Sivasenka. Charlotte Jessica Smith. William George Stacey. Dean Jakob Strager. Kai Ren T. Madeline Tay. Katura Elizabeth Tinney. Marie Jean Tuyisanga. Alexander Layosh Tuza. Renee Vaselli. Caitlin Votsi. Tiffany Elise Watsford. Joanne Waugh. Caitlin Paula Joy Westfall. Shani Rose Whitburn. Olivia Alice Jackson White. Amy Tien Mei Wong. Shenjia Sia. And Jericho Yambao. To the degree of Master of Psychology, Organisational and Human Factors, Carissa Dutton. To the degree of Master of Psychology, Health, Meg Elizabeth Feeney. And Georgia Brooke Goddard. To the degree of Master of Psychology, Clinical, Isadora Oldham. Georgia Frances Bernard. Emma Kate Bazado. Patrick Andrew Karen Carey. Raquel Louise Green. And Van Lee. To the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and Master of Psychology Clinical, for a thesis entitled Supporting Weight Loss Maintenance, the Role of Planning, Problem Solving and Recommendations for Future Interventions, Amanda Ellen Dibbs-Smith. To the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, for for a thesis entitled A Dual Process Model of Response Inhibition, Insights from a Neurocognitive Perspective. Nathan Daniel Boy. For a thesis entitled Male Discourses of Anxiety and Help Seeking in an Online Discussion Forum. Phoebe Grace Drioli Phillips. For a thesis entitled Exploring Communication and Men's Health Service Use on an Australian Health Helpline. Stephanie Therese Lopriori. For a thesis entitled Investigating the Temporal Dynamics of Covert Visual Spatial Attention, Exploitative and Explorative Attentional Mechanisms. Salvatore Simone Russo. For a thesis entitled Interprofessional Learning Between Pharmacy and Medicine Students, Josephine Suzanne Thomas. And for a thesis entitled Sexuality and Sexual Health in Mental Health Care Settings, Perceptions of Psychologists, Psychiatrists and Mental Health Nurses in Australia, Christy Lauren Urry. Mr. Kenneth Williams, this concludes the graduates from the School of Psychology and for this ceremony.
I'm now very pleased to be able to present to you Phoebe Grace Drioli Phillips, who was presented this afternoon just now with the Doctor of Philosophy. Phoebe will now give the valedictory address on behalf of the cohort of graduates who were presented with their awards today. Phoebe.
So few times in our lives are we able to mark a chapter filled with personal challenge, with learning and growth, with something so tangible as a university degree. What an achievement and what a cause for celebration. And particularly in the midst of such a strange time in the world, where it has often felt like there is very little to celebrate. We made it through our degrees, but more uniquely, we made it through our degrees during the whirlwind that was 2020. We made it through the lockdowns, the hand sanitizer and the Zooms. Through the uncertainty and the upheaval, we persisted, adapted and even flourished. As I thought about what I wanted to say to you all today, I was, if I'm honest, gripped by fear. Public speaking is not my favourite activity, it's far from it. And really, what, if anything, do I have to offer you all? But in the end, this address is not about what I have to offer you. Rather, it's about what has been offered to each of us. When I look back at my university journey thus far, I am most struck by my good fortune and by my privilege. I did earn my degrees, that is true. I did nothing, though, to deserve the good fortune of living in a safe country where I have access to healthcare, to education, and the freedom to pursue my dreams. While those things should be a human right, they remain determined largely by luck, a roll of the dice, and yet here I stand. I, along with every graduate sitting here today, have been exceedingly fortunate to have had the privilege of access to a world-class education. Particularly in this, the era of COVID, how lucky are we to have been able to move forward with our education as the world around us, it felt at times, slowed almost to a stop. Personally, my own good fortune does not end there. I'm sure, like many of you sitting here, I've enjoyed the great privilege of choice. I began a total of 3 different undergraduate degrees before I settled on psychology. And having finally made that choice, I've been incredibly lucky to have had access to the resources which have allowed me to study an undergraduate, an honours, a PhD, and now a master's in quick succession. So many here in Australia and overseas are not so fortunate. As a woman, I'm also incredibly lucky to be living in a place and at a time where I've had the freedom to start a family while forging ahead in my pursuit of a career that I love. What a privilege it has been to find myself working here in the School of Psychology, so well supported by my supervisors at university and my husband at home that I was able to submit my doctoral thesis last year at 9 months pregnant before returning to begin my master's this year with a 4-month-old. It is a tragedy that for so many women the world over, access to education, let alone while raising children, remains an impossibility. Yes, when I look back at my time at university thus far, it's my immense privilege that I am most struck by. And I know I'm not alone in my good fortune. Each of us, if we took the time to reflect, I'm sure would be able to think of a number of fortunate twists of fate, without which we would have been in a very different position today. There, but by the grace of God, go I indeed. I say all of this not to take away from the huge accomplishment that is the completion of a degree. Every graduate in this hall has worked hard, struggled and made sacrifices in order to be here today. And the degree you each now hold is a testament to that hard work, struggle and sacrifice, and so I hope you all feel very proud in your achievements. I hope equally that we're able to find the humility to acknowledge the enormous privilege and numerous strokes of good luck that also contributed to the achievements that we celebrate here today. So as we walk out of this hall, degrees in hand, ready to begin our next chapter in life, I'm hopeful that as a cohort we are beyond all else humbled by the opportunities we've been given over the course of our studies. In turn, let us all be compelled to go forth and do good in ways large and small in order to pay forward the many privileges from which we have each personally benefited. As the saying goes, to whom much is given, much is expected, and we have been given so very much in receiving our education here at the University of Adelaide. What an achievement, what a cause for celebration, what a privilege. Congratulations, graduates.
It now gives me great pleasure to congratulate all of the graduates here today, and I would say that you should be very proud of what you've worked to achieve and to remember those who have supported you to reach this end. I wish you every success as you can enter this next exciting stage of your life and your career. As graduates of the University of Adelaide, you are also its alumni and ambassadors. Over the years since the university was established, the alumni have made an enormous contribution to the community, both here and throughout the world, and today you join this community of over 147,000 alumni located in more than 134 countries around the globe. We also have 17 global alumni networks, including 8 international networks. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Mace Bearer and the Valedictorian and all who assisted in the organisation and running of today's ceremony. I would also like to acknowledge the critical role of the academic staff, many of whom are present here today, as they are the lifeblood of the university, and it is important to acknowledge their role and to give the audience and the graduates an opportunity to acknowledge the contribution of the academics to the support for your degrees. Thank you. I ask all of the graduates to now remain seated, and I invite everyone else here today to stand and once again join me in congratulating the graduates on their achievements. Would the audience please remain standing, and could the graduates now please stand for the academic recession? Once the academic recession has left the hall, we ask guests please remain at your seats until directed to exit by our staff. I now declare this congregation adjourned. Thank you very much.